Junior Witter, the hitter. I have a lot to thank you for, not only because I've just written your biography, but you've made me fall back in love with writing again. I've thoroughly enjoyed your story, mate. I knew of you. I first heard of you when I was a teenager from the amateur boxing scene, the magazine. Never really got familiar until you fought Zab Judah. So I watched your story, and but there's a lot of things in this book I didn't know. So the book is kicking on 90,000 words. They avoided the clues in the name. Johnny Nelson's done the forwards. I've spoken to a lot of other famous people. All have an opinion. The book, grown up in Bradford, racists, bit of an angry kid. Kind of fell into a boxing gym just because you could hit people and didn't get into trouble with it. You're a natural in a boxing gym, Bradford Police. You cleaned up the full book. Yes, there's a chapter. I'm not gonna tell you what it's about, but it's called My Mate Ricky. So there's the full ins and outs of what went on in the Brendan Ingle gym. There's one poignant remark he said to me in this book was, I was Floyd Mayweather's #1 mandatory for 9 months, and then an extra 3 months paid, or Floyd paid for an extension. So you were the #1 mandatory for a year, and it was your right. Yet it was still hard to get a shot. So the book, there's a lot. It's going to shock people. It's controversial. There's a lot of eyebrow raising moments. Me and you sat together for 18 hours, 29 minutes. I think I recorded over 4 days. Now it's all done, Junior. What's your thoughts?
It's been an eye-opener as such. You do get to learn a little bit more about things that happened which you weren't privy to at the time. It's a bit like cold cases. You get to hear information that you wouldn't have heard about at the time. There's things that happened that I didn't know that happened behind the scene. I've since learnt about, and if I'd have known, things might have been different. But it's been good. Overall, it's been good.
Do you think it's been kind of therapeutic? A lot of people tell me, obviously I've never written one about myself. I'm not that interesting. But, a lot of people tell me, you know what, Jamie, when I did a book, it's almost like you get demons out your closet, skeletons. Like, did you feel like that when obviously you haven't read it yet. I'm going to be proofreading it. You're going to be what we're in now, August. So you'll be proofreading it September. Was it like, are you glad you've done it almost? Because obviously you've been asked in the past. Why did you never do it in the past?
Things did fall right. I just think with me, the way I live my life, things have to fall right. And then I just go with the flow as such. And to the people who I've spoke to about writing a book, it hasn't flowed right for various little reasons, and this one has. So meeting you the right time, and it's just come off.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I've been really passionate. I probably shouldn't say this to you, but it's one of them that, I mean, I got into writing. I didn't even know if I was any good. So I become obsessed with Paul Sykes, got sent to be a film. I would have done them books for free. And this has been like the Alan Thompson book. I was a huge Celtic fan. And, for one thing regarding this book was I've done boxers before, Tales of Pugilism, Dominic Negus, Roy Shaw was a pro, Paul Sykes was a pro. But you were someone who ticked every box. You completed the sport. There was nothing else you could have done. So you're going to look great on my CV. But it was like, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've paid money to an evening with Mike Tyson, Nigel Benn, John Hartson, and I would have paid to listen to your stories, what I've sat and listened to. Are you apprehensive in any way about anything coming out, or?
Yeah, it's just, I think the whole thing, and I've always been a little bit apprehensive about how things are perceived and how things are taken, which in some respects has slowed some of the stuff down, and other ways it's made it look worse. And I've just like, sometimes just got to let it out. It's weird because like I got a friend, and I met him through boxing. And what happened was he was doing a piece at college, photography course, and he came to the gym, to Ingle Gym, to get some pictures with me and have a little chat. And the reason he didn't is because Manchester was too far for him. He wanted to go to Ricky Hatton's. He wanted to go to Manchester. He couldn't get there for whatever reason. He knew I was in Sheffield, and he thought, I'll get the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he came in gym, we sat down, we chatted, and we've become really good friends. And it's just weird how the perception is and what the reality is. Yeah. And he's always said, the way you've been perceived and portrayed is nothing like how you are. So he's always said I need to just tell my story and he says, I wish people knew you like I know you.
Yeah.
And I just went.
Johnny Nelson said the same.
The media at the time works to put you in a narrative, and they put you in a box, and once you're in that box, it's almost impossible to get out of that box.
Yeah.
And I was put in the box what no one liked, and everybody was told I was hard to work with, I was hard to deal with. And I think it was Krista Ackroyd. I just did a piece with her. I've done many pieces with her over years on Look North, and she went, first time she said, I thought you were going to be really awkward. I thought you were going to be really arty. We said, you've been absolutely brilliant. It's been lovely. It's been easy. Like working with you. But the perception that people get is you're going to be hard to work with. And she was told I was going to be hard to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That point you said there about you being apprehensive a little bit, not paranoid, that's the wrong word, but a bit kind of standoffish. That does radiate out your personality, and I think when people read the book, you'll understand why. Listen, I've met so many people just because I've done. So you'll be my 26th book, but there's a lot of books I haven't taken. I've sat down and I could have done some big stars books. Some people I don't want to name. Some people I'm happy to name, people like Scott Harrison, Kevin Mitchell, other footballers. And I met you 2016, and I put an introduction. And when I met you, you were really nice to my son. And then when you went away, in my head, you weren't the bloke who I'd just met. Wasn't what I'd. Do you know what I mean? And that is massively about you. Johnny Nelson said to me, he said he's greatly misunderstood with like underline capitals. I know why, and I think a lot of people will understand why when you read this book. Is that something you can change, Junior? You're kicking on for 50 now. You've still got a lot of life. You've still probably got 20 years working here. Do you think you can change yourself from being how you once were? And maybe stop, not shut in just a bit, because you're very laid back.
The thing is, I am laid back. I know I am. I don't mind being laid back. But I do actually need to be a little bit more out there as well. I'm not massive on social media, and I need to be bigger on that. And it's just getting my head around stuff. Once I get my head around stuff, I'll do it. Once I understand the format of what's actually happening, I can go with stuff. When I don't understand stuff, I just stand back and just try and watch. So yeah, you live, you learn, you experience. Sometimes you learn that you've got to just go with the flow a little bit more. I remember a time I was at a Manchester show at ringside with Johnny Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
And they were shouting, I think someone shouting, Junior, Junior, give us a wave. Yeah. And I stood there. It took me a while to fucking click on what they were saying. But when I did, I looked up and I looked at all these crowd from Manchester. I'm just thinking, what are they trying to pull? Yeah. And I was just considering it. And as I was thinking about it, they moved on to Johnny, Johnny gives a wave. And as soon as I said that, Johnny got up and gave him a wave straight away. And I was just like, missed it. And it was like, I'd not experienced that before, so I wasn't sure what was happening. Whereas Johnny knew what was happening, got up, gave him a wave, got a cheer, and then moved on. And it was like, there's stuff like that's happened, and I just think, just because I haven't been around it enough.
If you could have your career again, that is the one thing you would change, isn't it?
I'd have took different fights. I'd have took more fights. I fighting. Yeah, I think the way I was perceived in the social media and in life would definitely change.
Because you were so not. I mean, I always, you know, it's quite remarkable, your career. It literally, I mean, you didn't probably retire till, let me think. So you last fought 2015, but you never stopped training till about 2017. So your first pro fight was 97. So you had a career spanning 20 years. And there's a very famous quote, and I think it's very fitting to you. It's a guy called Scott Hall, who's better known as Razor Ramon. And he said, bad times don't last, bad guys do. And the junior winners today are probably O'Hara Davies, Dillian White, Derek Chisora. Those are the guys, and you fall in the category. You don't give a shit if people like you or not. But Junior, you are actually a really likable guy. One of the first things I said, or someone said to me when I first released this book, and it really made me laugh. And it really inspired me to think, I've really done the right thing here. So I announced I was going to be doing The Avoided. And someone put, oh my God, the most hated author of all time is writing the most hated fighters book. You know, and it's like, but you actually are a proper nice guy. You don't even tell the world the things you do for your charity. Yeah, you know, as I said, the book wise, I'm on it every single day now. When I'm not at work, I'm on it. You haven't left anything out, and it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. I do genuinely mean that. There's a lot of people I wish I'd never bothered with. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and you've been the easiest person. Obviously, I've had a lot of personal issues with, you know, the wife battling cancer, all these kind of different things. But do you know what? A lot of people think they know the story. Ricky Hatton, Junior Witter. I've heard Hatton's side. I've heard Frank Warren's side. I've never heard yours. I have now, and the world hasn't, but the world will now. I personally think it's going to be, we've got to make a huge smoke screen, a big noise, one massive ball of attention, and I think people are going to be surprised. Let me just say for the record, this book is it's very professional, and it's very respectful, and I mean that to, you know, there's no bad mouthing anyone. You know, in hindsight, I mean, you've said, look, Ricky's had his demons. Good luck to him. I'm glad that, you know, you speak of a lot of love for him, but there is a lot of things that you've needed to say about what actually went on. You know, the British title 2002, instead of facing you, he gave up his title. And then, of course, you were both world champions at the same time. Never happened.
No, I look at it and I just think there's loads of things that didn't happen, could have happened, should have happened, things that people have no idea about and are very clueless and fall into the narrative just what they've been told. And I just think if it was now, things wouldn't have happened the way they happened, because I'd have been able to get my point across, which I haven't been able to do. There was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was nothing. Yeah, no one had a YouTube, no one had cameras on the phones. When the cameras did come on phones, they were terrible. Videos were dirty, blocky, and it was horrible. And quality was poor. So no one did anything with that media format. And you had to go through mainstream press. And if you look at mainstream press, Frank had it stitched up where he writes for the biggest newspaper in Europe, one of the biggest newspapers in Europe. So therefore, he got his point across to what the narrative he wanted to portray very well. And if you were anybody else, you struggled to beat that. Frank had Sky Sports, BBC, ITV. They weren't doing anything on. There wasn't no boxing on them channels at that particular time. So therefore, everything that Frank wanted to say was said and heard. And if he didn't want you to have a voice, it was very, very hard to get your own personal opinion across. And everything just fell into his narrative. Things have obviously changed. He's no longer with Sky. He's got his own thing. And it's a better world because it's a more level playing field, as in, if you want to say something, you can say it in a place where people will see it.
Of course, Eddie Hearn, his first show was 2010, David Hay, Audley Allison. But so I personally think if Witter Hatton was about now and Eddie Hearn was about, it wouldn't have been Will They Fight? It'll have been sign a trilogy. Do you know what I mean? This was the biggest thing since Ben Eubank. And it's a crying shame. But listen, you speak about that in the book. A lot of people will have to basically, wait for the book to come out. And you have sorry, I've just done a night shift. I'm a bit tired. What's that word? I've just said it this morning. Intensively, thoroughly went through the whole scenario. Of what actually was about. And as you've said, the boxing business is a filthy, murky, skullduggery business. Not people like us are not aware of it. You tell some very funny stories. I mean, my favourite was when Mike Tyson put it on you, and you've been from Bradford, you were going to put it on him, and you're not really. You were terrified. But there's one thing, Junior, I can't promise you. When this book comes out, I can't promise your safety when Carol Hatton gets you.
I'm not worried. I'm all right.
Well, no, do you know what, Carol? I'm going to send her a copy. She's been a good sport. She's look, she's the mother of your arch enemy. So it's of course it was going to be approached. It was like I couldn't write a book on Tom without mentioning Jerry. You can't do something on Celtic without mentioning Rangers. And in my opinion, and in Tyson Fury's as well, I watched a couple of months back. He said, I think he was referring to Anthony Joshua, and he said this will be the biggest fight that never happened since Hatton Witter. He said it'll be like that. And it's a travesty for the British boxing fans, but we can't do nothing about it now. And the biggest Ricky Hatton fans in the world could never say Ricky won. And the biggest Witter fans in the world, because it doesn't mean anything and it's just opinions. I personally think I could give a good argument to how you knock him cold within 3 rounds. And I could also see Ricky outworking you over 12 rounds. You know, just, I don't know. But was there anything you wanted to mention, Junior? Obviously, the book's done now. The hard work has been done. You know, it's going to be proofread a couple of times, and then it's going to be out, and then we're going to speak to all the papers. You know, we kind of, it's the easiest, it's the enjoyable bit, if you like. I'll go speak to Talksport, all them kind of things. You know,
Enjoyable bit.
I'm like a clockwork mouse, and my publisher just winds my back up and just points me in the direction. This is what I'm built for. I like to interact. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite good at PR stuff. But ultimately, listen, it's your story. It's not about Jamie Boyle. It's the Junior Witter story they avoided.
No, it is. I mean, I'm just in my gym, doing my thing, got my fighters coming through. And talking about Carol Hatton, last time I actually saw her was last year, because I have a fighter who boxed Matthew's son. He's had 2 bouts, won one, lost one, won last one in championships. So I am positive I will see her around on the scene again. So
just not in a dark alley.
No. Listen, boxing's boxing. You got to take it for what it is. And
it was never paid.
No, it wasn't personal. It was business. I mean, it was a case of I want to move forward and they were in my way. And you should fight whoever's in front of you. And that's the main thing. And that's what I wanted to do. Get the fight on and entertain the people.
Yeah. Do you know, Isham Pickering said to me, he said, I mean, it was devastating, really, what you did. 2000 to 2005, 15 fights, 15 wins, 15 knockouts. And you fought some good caliber of opponents, Kotelnik, Salman and Bayi. Oh, God. Yeah, some really decent British, Commonwealth, European, wipe the floor with him, knocking on Mayweather's door. You know, you've put a few things. All I'll say on it was Mayweather went public and he said, I've never heard of Junior Witter. Now, of course, Mayweather is that much of a big businessman. He has Leonard Ellaby around him. Of course, he would have known who he was. And of course, the guy who gave him the hardest fight of all, the drunk master, Emmanuel Augustus, boxed exactly like your style. So Floyd must have thought, even if I beat Witter, I'm not going to look good doing it.
Yeah, I definitely think that was... There's no way a man who studies boxing the way he studies boxing didn't know who I was at his weight. I remember the first time I met De La Hoya, and we were at one of the fights. It just finished press conference, which I was watching because I went on stage at that time. And he went, Witter, knew exactly who I was. Wanted to have a conversation, but we couldn't because he was rushing off to do something. I was like, straight away, seen me and knew who I was. And I was like, if you know it and I'm not actually in line to fight you, Mayweather's got to know who I am.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Well, of course, you were Floyd's mandatory 2005, 2006. Mayweather moved up to fight De La Hoya. So basically, Floyd's vacated his title to go up 2 weights, and De La Hoya, the richest fight of all time at that time. So that just shows. I mean, I've had people. I know you're a bit of a dinosaur social media, but I've had people from America message me asking about you. You know, Billy Joe Saunders said, you don't become WBC. There's world champions. There's lots of, you can be, so there's some belts that you can be a world champion, win belts playing snakes and ladders. But yours was it doesn't get any better. Yours was the Muhammad Ali belt.
I think the weird thing is, right now, all the belts are worth less than they were in some respects. Yeah. But even now, still the WBC holds that much weight.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the 2000s and earlier, it was the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate goal in boxing is WBC belt. That's what it was. And everything else that's happened since is a whole different story. But that was it. That was the bee's knees. You couldn't get better than that, especially in that time, because only the best won the WBC. You could always get a flaky champion in maybe one of the belts, but WBC always had that credibility, that history, that heritage, which kept it a title for the true champion.
Yeah.
I remember.
Junior, you're a busy man. See you in the gym, so I'm going to let you go. Just a couple of more questions. So, what's your schedule these days? Then, just off the record, what's, a lot of people. A lot of people said, "Oh, he was brilliant. I used to love watching him and all this." You've got fans out there. You've kind of disappeared. Well, you did for me. Obviously, we got in touch over 2 years ago now. But since you retired, you're away from the limelight. What's Junior Witter doing now?
Junior Witter's running his gym. I've got an amateur boxing gym. Probably about 15 amateur fighters. Got a few fighters that are doing really well. I've got a kid who got to national finals. I've got another kid who won a development title. I've got new kids coming through with like 14, 15, who are going to be really good as long as they stick at it. They've got so much potential. And then on top of that, I've got my pro game. I've got Dom Hunt, who's the Central Area welterweight champion. Last year, he beat the former WBO European champion. So he's a flying 13-0 on a flying streak at the minute. You'll see something from him the next probably 6 months, trying to announce something decent. And then I've got four kids I'm turning over now. A kid called Ryan Williams from Peterborough, travels up all the time just to come here, just to be at my gym. Got a kid called Harry the Hatchet Johnson.
Already?
Extremely good boxer. Kid called Cole Blair, who's had 7 amateur fights, knocked out 5. You don't get 5 knockouts in amateurs if you can not a real puncher. He's just turning over with me. I've got another kid, Nathan Darby, who's on the road, and I've got a nice little stable coming through. The next couple of years, hopefully, God willing, everything just works out nicely, and we move forward, and the gym grows. And I'm happy in taking kids from nothing to something. I don't just want kids to walk in who, you've got a world title, come and train with me. Yeah, I've made all this on money because I'm a really good trainer. Really good trainers take kids from nothing, kids from the ground, people who've had nothing, had 3-4 amateur bouts, turn over, take them to that next level. That's the really good trainers. People get the kids to do beyond what they're expected to do. If you look at Isham Pickering, Isham wasn't expected to win much more than a British title at best. British, Commonwealth, European, boxed for the world title, and was very capable of winning a world title. So you look at that and you think, Brendan, brilliant. Yeah. If you come around and you take a kid who's 4 times boxed for England, got this gold medal, got that stamp, and then they turn over with you, and you take them and you put them, they're already on TV, they've already got a deal, they're getting looked after. Taking kids like that, getting them to that next level which they were always destined to get to, isn't as much an achievement as taking a kid who isn't very good and wasn't very good, and then getting them to a British title fight. That's a massive achievement. If you look what happened with Johnny, Johnny was terrible.
Yeah.
Johnny Nelson. And Brendan took him from being terrible, people didn't want to take him in the ring. People didn't want to go to shows with him, to be associated with him, for coming through to winning a British. I know British. I know he won European, and winning a world champ, winning WBO world title, and having it for 7 years. Now that's the achievement. So I want to emulate something like that. I'm not going to say I'm going to bring the next Johnny Nelson through, and I'm going to take a kid from where Johnny was to where Johnny got to. But if I can take someone from relatively average, poor, to winning a British title, that's a massive achievement. That's what I want to do. I want to take kids who are good to that next level and the level beyond. So wherever they think they want to get, they think they can get, I want to take them to that next level.
Of course, that was Brendan's philosophy, wasn't it? Make bad kids good and good kids even better. And that's the kind of thing you've adopted, because Alec Allen was the same, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, I'm Alec Allen, a lovely man, and that's what he wasn't about just having national champions and amateurs. He'd take kids in, let them have a go, let them learn the experiences from boxing, and help them in life more than about how much money they can get out of boxing. Become a better person, and that's what I want to help people be better people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know the last chapter? I mean, you really praised John Thaxton, but we're not going to go into that. People will have to read it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all Junior's links in the bio. Get in touch with him. He's very approachable. He is not. I mean, you've seen Junior Witter. He looks like a baddie. You think, I don't have to read the small print with him because he's a bad guy. He's not, but you're perceived to be that way. Very approachable, very friendly, very polite, very interesting. It's been an absolute pleasure, Junior. I'll give you the last word before I let you go.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the book, and see you around.
So, and also just one thing, we've got a Facebook page called Junior Witter The Avoided. So I'm going to put the link in the bio with Junior's Twitter, Witter's Boxing Club Facebook. In fact, at the back of the book, Junior. Sorry?
Switch Hitter Customs.
Yeah.
Customized boxing.
And at the back, you're always looking for new people. So we'll put that in the book as well. We'll reach out to anyone who's ready. And I think a lot of people will be really surprised. I think, certain people, the very funny story about what Carol Hatton said when she went to the, what was it? Ricky's post-fight. I think he just beat someone in Newcastle about 2004. And you were there, you were dancing, and you looked up and you're seeing Carol Hatton's lips, and you could just clearly read, what the fuck is he doing there? You were kind of Beelzebub, Satan, a demon, you're Satan. But I think we'll even win Carol over with this, and she's going to get a book on the house. Bless her. Junior, always a pleasure, sir. I will be in touch, mate. I'm off to proofread your book. I've just finished work. So yeah, be in touch. Everyone, big thank you for listening to Junior. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And anyone who wants to get in touch with Junior, go in the bio, click on his links and get in touch with him. Thanks, Junior. God bless.
No problem. Cheers.